But alhamdulillah, this is a brief reminder, inshallah ta'ala, and facing the current crisis. In a time of crisis, we find ourselves returning back to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Sahabas, ridwanullah ta'ala alayhim, they used to take comfort in the words of their Lord, and they used to take comfort in the words of their Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the hadith that we would take comfort in today to console us and to make us remain firm upon that which we profess to believe in is no other than the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which comes from the authority of Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. Anybody know who Abdullah ibn Umar is, first and foremost?
The son of
Ahsan. What is one of the distinguishing characteristics of Abdullah ibn Umar? Who can give me one of the distinguishing characteristics?
He was firm upon it. He did try to do everything the Prophet was saying. He was firm to follow the Sunnah of the Prophet.
Ahsan. He was firm in trying to cleanse and do everything that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did.
He was detailed.
He was detailed, more keen. He was very keen on observing and practicing that which the Prophet ﷺ did. Can anyone show me, give me an example how keen he was?
One time there was an incident where he had remembered that the Prophet had made a particular circle around a tree or something like that. And so when he came to that incident, he went out of his way to let's do that.
Okay, so the brother mentioned that there was one time that Abdullah ibn Umar, he observed the Prophet ﷺ going around a certain tree. And he watched the Prophet ﷺ do it, and he went around it himself. Another incident is when the Prophet ﷺ would urinate in a certain place, he would urinate in that same place. Likewise, when he kissed the black stone is called what? What is the black stone? Huh? The black stone is the Kaaba. We find that when he kissed the black stone, he said that, Rally, I know you're nothing but just a stone, and I kiss you because I saw the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam kiss you by the permission of Allah.
That's Umar ibn Khattab.
That was his father.
His father.
Not the son, the father.
Yeah, one narration he mentioned, alhamdulillah, the brothers reminded me that it was Umar and not his son, Abdullah ibn Umar. And I find you more sacred than the brotherhood. Alhamdulillah. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said that the Prophet ﷺ took me by my shoulders. He grabbed me by my shoulders. And this is something that a father can do with his son. We can observe from the Prophet ﷺ, whenever you want to get the attention of your children, you can grasp them by their shoulders. The Prophet ﷺ, he grasped him by his shoulders, and he said something very valuable and very peaceful information that is golden. He said, Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib. He's telling this young child, don't remember that Abdullah ibn Umar was young. He told Abdullah ibn Umar, be in the life of this world as if you were a stranger. Be in the life of this world as if you was a stranger. And this is important in our day and time, because we have to remember we don't have no attachments to this dunya. That we have no attachments to this dunya. And this is not the place for which we originate. Allah Jalla wa Ala have expelled our parents from out of the place that was our original abode. As Ibn Qayyim mentioned, that our original abode is the paradise. Allah Jalla wa Ala said, Ya Bani Adam, La yaftinannakum ash-shaytan kama akhraja abawaykum min al-jannah. O children of Adam, don't be put to trial. La yaftinannakum ash-shaytan. Don't let the shaitan put you to trial like he expelled your parents from out of the paradise. So that is our original abode. He said, Aw abir as-sabil. So not only do you be a stranger, or be someone who is passing by, a traveler. They call it a wayfarer, meaning a traveler, someone who's passing by. Now I want you to look at the response of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. Kana ibn Umar radiallahu anhu yaqul. After this advice from the Prophet ﷺ, Ibn Umar, he used to say, إِذَا أَمْسَيْتَ فَلَا تَنْتَدِرِ الصَّبَاحِ. If you reach the evening, don't expect to make it to the morning. And he used to say, وَإِذَا أَسْبَحْتَ فَلَا تَنْتَدِرِ الْمَسَاءِ. And if you reach the morning, don't expect to make it what? To the evening. وَخُذْ مِنْ صِحَّتِكَ لمرضك ومن حياتك لموتك. This is collected by Imam Bukhari. He said, and take from your good health before you become sick, because no doubt you become ill. And take from your living before Allah Jalla wa'ala takes from your life. There are multiple pearls inside this hadith that if we was to analyze it and truly try to live according to this advice, then our attachment to this world will be less, and our deeds for Allah Jalla wa'ala will be more. But we find that we live in a time where our deeds are less. As Al-Hasan al-Basri said, the people are competing for the dunya with actions of the akhirah. What do he mean by this? He means that the sincerity that you're supposed to have for Allah Jalla wa'ala, you are sincere in carrying out your act that, to accumulate something in the life of this world. If you want that job, if you want that trade, if you want to be somewhere in a better position, then you're going to find yourself having sincerity in going to school. Sincerity in carrying out whatever is needed to be required. Standing up at the late of the night when Allah comes down to the lowest heaven. You're ignoring that the fact that your Lord comes down to the lowest heaven. You're ignoring that the fact that there are deeds that you can be accumulating with Allah Azza wa Jal, and you have a sincerity in that act just to acquire something worldly. So he said they seek the dunya with the actions of the hereafter. This is how they have become. There are people who are what? They're only worrying about the life of this world. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in this particular narration, as Sheikh Fawzan, Hafidhullah, he mentioned, he said that the Prophet ﷺ grasped him by his shoulders for the purpose of alerting him, to grab his attention, لِمَا يَقُولُ لَهُ, to what he was saying. So grasp a person by his shoulder. Ya Ghulam, oh boy, Ya Ghulam. There was another companion that was young that the Prophet ﷺ gave a rival piece of information. Which companion was that? Ahsant, Abdullah ibn Abbas. Both of these are named two Abdullahs. Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Abbas, who was related to the Prophet ﷺ. So here he said, وَفِي هَذَا تَوَاضِعُهُ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ وَحِرْصُ عَلَى النَّصِيحَةِ. This here shows the humbleness and the humility that our beloved Messenger ﷺ had, and his keenness on giving advice, something that we don't do today. We don't understand the etiquettes of giving advice. We don't understand the sincerity of giving advice. Once you give advice, if it's heartfelt, you can feel that impression. When someone gives you a heartfelt advice, you take it. It's acceptable. As Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said that the hearts are receptacles. So when giving advice, you want to make sure you give advice that pierces the heart. You don't want to give advice where you just criticizing someone, you're being a critic, or they don't get from it that you really want the good for them. Right? So they turn away from that, what you're saying, even if it's correct. You want to be careful with that. You want to give them heart warmth. So there's certain things you do. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he used to take, as it was mentioned in the narration, he took Kamal ibn Ziyad out to the desert, to an open desert. He took him by his hand. He set him down, close to him. And he spoke to him with kind words, and then he gave him advice. How many of us, when we want to give advice to one another, we observe these etiquettes? Take your brother out. Take him somewhere to eat. Give him a dua first. May Allah Jalla wa'ala bestow you with the best. Then lay out your advice. These are things that we can do for one another that, make the advice feel heartfelt. So the Prophet ﷺ was keen, he was diligent. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He told him, Kun fi dunya ka'annaka qareeb. He said, this advice is comprehensive. This is a comprehensive advice. Wa kalamu jami'un min al-jawami al-kalam. It is that comprehensive speech that comes from laconic speech, meaning prosthetic speech. It comes from prosthetic speech. يعني لا تنبسطي في الدنيا وتشتغلي بها الآخرة. Look at this. Don't be so engrossed in the dunya, okay, where you are preoccupied from the hereafter. What is the example of a person so engrossed with the dunya? When he works 15, 16 hours and he's playing catch up on his prayers. Now, it's nothing wrong with working 15, 16 hours. But if you got to catch up on your prayers and you can't pray them on the proper time, then there's something wrong. Then there's something wrong. Why? Because you find yourself seeking that which is perishable, that's not going to ever last, over that which is everlasting. it's incumbent upon you from Allah, you are obligated to pray. You are obligated to pray. Or accumulating so much wealth that you do not give, or nor do you understand the prerequisites of zakat, and that you don't give it. You don't even know what a nasab is. So you don't even care about the fact that zakat is due on you. Do not become too preoccupied with the world that you forget about the hereafter. He continues. He said, well, gharib, the meaning of a stranger, and we all should know this, he's an individual who's living in a land that's other than his own home country. He's not from this place. فإن غريب إذا كان في بلد ليس بلده لا ينبسط فيها. He's not able to really be stable there. If a person is living in a land that's not his home, he's not comfortable. How can he get comfortable in a place that's not his home? You ever go over somebody's house and they invite you to stay, but after a while you're always observing yourself. You can't wait to get back to your own confinements of your own private quarters, because this is not your place. How many of us really feel about that about the world? Some of us feel like this, this is our home. Some believers say that this is their home. You have individuals fight you. Yeah, I'm going home, man. This is my home. The Prophet ﷺ never slept on a comfortable bed. The Prophet ﷺ never ate at a table. We're not saying that these things are haram. They're impermissible, that you can't do it. The Prophet ﷺ walked by a companion who was building a house. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm building a house. The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Jamra ala hadha. He said, the matter is more closer than that. It might reach before you finish the house. Your house is in paradise. You should be building your house in paradise. How do you build a house in paradise?
Worshiping Allah.
Oh, how do you build a house in paradise? It's part of it.
Oh, I got it. Offering the 12
Ahsant. Offering the 12 sunnah mu'akkidat. How many of us observed that? Aisha radiallahu anha, she reported that the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he did not make the night prayer, he would make those prayers in the daytime. Whenever he could not make the night prayer, he would make those days in the daytime. How many of our lives is circulated around that? That we are making those things to build a paradise. What's another way you can build a home in paradise? Plant a tree?
Building a masjid.
Building a masjid. Planting a tree for sadaqah. What's another way? You don't want a palace in paradise? Do I need to describe what a palace is? The Prophet ﷺ said the least person in paradise, the least one, is going to get the least. He's going to have a kingdom where he look at, the stint of his eyes, where it reach, that's going to be all his kingdom. Ahsan, leaving off lying even if you're playing. What else? Leaving off what? Argumentation, even if you're telling the truth. Build yourself something in paradise. These are easy feats to do, inshallah.
The one who leaves off an argument?
That's what we just mentioned. The one who leaves off argumentation, even if the truth is with him. He continues, he says here, ولا يطمع في السكنى والاستمرار فيها وإنما يكون على أهبة الاستعداد للرجوع إلى بلده. This individual does not take any enjoyment whatsoever in the place that he finds himself living at. Why? Until he return where? Back to his land. Because he's familiar there. He said, وَالدُّنْيَا لَيْسَ دَارًا لِلْمُسْلِمِ. He said that the dunya is not the home of a Muslim. You're not in the same category as a Nasara or the Yahud or a Mushrik. So why are you acting like it? You're not in the same category. Here, a person is not in the same category of a Christian, a Jew, and a polytheist. You're not in the same category. The Muslim, this is not his home. I think in reality we lost this advice because it's shown in our actions. We are comfortable here. We are really comfortable here. We're not, our deeds we're comfortable. And some of us, if not majority of us, got sins that are the size of mountains of Uhud. But we don't act like they are. It's just Allah Jalla wa'ala going to forgive me. This is what most of the people believe. If they die, they believe that the person is in a better place. Sah am la. Correct? La. They believe that people are in the correct place. It's not the Muslim. He said, إِنَّمَا دَارُ مُسْلِمْ هِيَ جَنَّةٌ. He said the only home that the Muslim has is paradise. Who rivers of what? Milk, honey, gold. Can you fathom being in paradise for eternity? وَهُوَ وَجَدَ الدُّنْيَا مِنْ أَجْلِ أَنْ يَعْمَلَ الْجَنَّةِ. He only found himself in the life of this world to do actions to get back to paradise. Now let's look at our own personal lives, me included. How often do we do actions for the hereafter? Or how often we do actions for the life of this world? We're worrying about a bill, which we need to be worrying about, huh? We'll be kicked out, huh? We're worrying about feeding that woman, feeding our family, right? Providing. We're worrying about even taking on a second wife, if that even possible, whether you got the money or not, right? We're worrying about getting a vehicle. Everything related to the dunya. And then when the night go by, we snore. No qiyam al-layl. Allah described the believers that when the people are asleep, they awoke. They're in the mid-hours begging their Lord for forgiveness. This is how He described the believers. There is not one companion biography you can read except that this is how his life was. Now, if you read our biographies, right? What you will see? Two difference. This is why when they was getting ready to fight the Romans, Khalid ibn Walid, when he took a expedition on to fight the Romans, it was a large group force of Romans. The Romans was chased back and they was afraid when they saw the dust of the Muslims, even though it was a small number. Right? Khalid ibn Walid was a good general. So what he had the Muslims strike the dirt, the sand, to make it seem like it was more what? Numerous people than it was. But guess what they said about them? They said, you're fighting against the people who love death more than they love life. What do that mean? They love to just die? What do that mean?
They won't go back to their home.
They love, exactly. They love the hereafter more than they love life. The Prophet ﷺ said the kuffar was going to eat from you as in one big plate, based off of what? Karihatul maut, hubbud dunya, karihatul maut. Hatred for death and a love for the life of this world. Look at the characteristics. So when we look and examine ourselves, we're not acting and behaving like this. So when something is lost from us, we complain a lot. You ever been in a generation that complains so much about everything? We complain about everything, any sort of discomfort. When the Prophet ﷺ told us in authentic narration that comes in Sahih Muslim, that it's not a prick, a thorn that pricks a believer, except that it's an expiation for some type of sin. It's not even a wound that you can get, except that if you bear it with patience, you get it with what? You get an expiation for your sin. Now we're complaining about everything. I don't got this, I need to get that. Always angry. Sheikh Al-Albani, he said that the signs of depression and that Allah Jalla wa'ala, that you can show a person is, his heart is kind of darkened, is that he have high anxiety. He's always in a depressed mode, in a state. He's gloomy, he's angry, he's disturbed. He's not optimistic as the Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to be. All right? He always thinks the worst of things. This is some of our states. We walk around like this every day like this. Don't even know why you're angry. How are you angry in Ramadan? I'm still trying to figure that one out. But no, seriously, we don't even know why we're angry. Goes back again, you go back to the campaigns, they didn't walk around like that. They walked around with their shoulders up. Why? Because they was eager to get back to a place that was known as Jannah. He continued, he said, فَيَأْخُذُهُ حَاجَتُهُ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا لِيَسْتَعِينَ بِهَا عَلَى عَمَلٍ Jannah. And he only take his needs, what he needs from the dunya, in order to aid him and assist him in doing those actions that will get him into paradise. So the reason why he wore clothes was for what? We just talked about this earlier, right? What was the reason why he wore clothes? To cover himself, so they can do acts of ibadah. The reason why he ate was for what? So they could be nourishment to be strong enough to do acts of ibadah. You see it? All go back full circle to the purpose. This is why, and I'm guilty of this, may Allah forgive me. This is why they never ate till they full. The Prophet never ate, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, till he was full. Never. They never ate till they full. Many of us, you know, we got nicknames called Abu Two-Plate. We eat till we full. We eat till we full. Stomach like this. Actually, the Prophet ﷺ said about a person who eats till he's full, what did he say?
He has a hard heart.
Not only give him a hard heart, but what did he say to the man?
As a shaitan or shaitan?
No, he told him that what? The stomach have how many parts?
Oh yeah, 3.
3, right?
Yeah, one
One for what?
1/3 for food.
1/3 for food.
Drink. And
1/3 for drink. 1/3 for what?
Easy breathing.
Easy breathing, right? So a person who eats so much till he full, he clogs that up.
Can't breathe.
And it doesn't make you light for worship. You always tired. You're not ready for worship because you always eat till you're full. Hikmah in that. And he continues before we stop. He said, أما أن يطلب الدنيا لذاتها فهو يشتغل بشيء ليس له ولا يدن. He said, as for him seeking the life of this world just for the world itself, then he preoccupies himself with something that is not for him and something that is not going to last anyway. It's going to perish. He said, لأن الدنيا ليس له, because the dunya was never designed for him. Meaning it wasn't for him to be here forever. كن في الدنيا كأنك غريب. He told his companion, this youth, be in the life of this world as if he was a stranger or someone who just passing by. He said, وَمَعْلُومْ حَالُ غَرِيبٍ الَّذِي في غير بلده أنه دائما يتذكر وطنه وداره ويهن إلى ذلك ويشعر في الرجوع إلى بلده مهما أمكنه. He said, it is well known that the condition or the state of the person who is a stranger is that when he finds himself residing in a land that is not his, he is constantly doing what? Remembering his homeland. I can't wait to get back. He is hastening and preparing himself to get back to where he what? Home. How many of us want to get back to Jannah? You never been there. How many of us think about Jannah? It's a rhetorical question. I don't want to put nobody on front street. Huh? Think about it. Or you want to get back home. The Prophet ﷺ was shown a palace in paradise. What would he get ready to do?
He wanted to go.
He wanted to stay, right?
No.
The angel told him, no, you got to go back. You still got some more time. You still got some more time. He's ready to go. Imagine Allah Jalla wa Ala showing you a glimpse of paradise. As it comes in the narration that the Prophet ﷺ said that the individual is going to be placed and dipped, just dipped. It's going to be dipped into the hellfire. And they're going to ask, did he ever taste any enjoyment ever in his life, any pleasure and so forth? That's that one dip into the hellfire. You're going to say, no, I'll never ever taste any enjoyment ever. And vice versa, the one who's going to be dipped into paradise, just a dip. Like that, just come right back out. He's going to say, have you ever faced any hardship? He's going to say, I've never faced any hardship in my life. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he said that, Hamid Utbah ibn Ghazwa, he said that I remember that we were 7 people with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that me and Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, we used to have to share a garment to cover ourselves with. And he said, Utbah ibn Ghazwa, he said that we used to eat leaves. I'm going to let that marinate for a minute. We used to eat leaves until we have ulcers. He said, but now, Allah Jalla wa Ala, each one of us made us a government. Each one of us made us a governor of a state. And Allah Jalla wa Ala has seen that He made us great. And He said, I see refuge in Allah Jalla wa Ala for thinking myself significant when Allah knows that I'm insignificant. It's Utbah ibn Ghazwan. The companions with one Allah Ta'ala alayhim, they are known to be mentioned amongst the creation, the best of creation, because they understood the reality of the life of this world. This is something that we don't understand. Any hardship that we go through is an expiation for our sins. We shouldn't be complaining to no one. We should be begging Allah Jalla wa Ala to allow that hardship to be a means for which we reach the heaven. To be a means in which we reach the heaven. He said, كأنك قريب يعني مثل قريب بمعنى أنك لا تنبسط فيها وتشتغل بها, meaning he's not comfortable. He don't reside in there, he doesn't take up any comfortability or preoccupy himself with it. وتؤتيها كل فقرك وقلبك لأنها ليس دار لك. بل كن فيها مؤقتا تنتظر رجوع إلى بلد. Meaning he's only residing in that land for a certain period of time until he returned back home. A Muslim كذلك, and the Muslim, he's just like this stranger. هو في الدنيا غريب لأنها ليس دار له دار التي خلقها الله للمؤمن هي جنة. An individual got 13 pairs of sneaks. Female got 20 garments. 20 garments in her home. They came to the companion. He started to cry when he was on his deathbed. They said, why are you crying? He said, because I have 100 slaves. I have over 100 servants. And my prophet, he said, my companion had told me to live in this world as if I was a stranger. I have over 100 servants. 20 garments. 13 pairs of sheets. Is this a person acting like Jannah is their home, or is this their home? They comfortable. They dug in. They're dug in. This is why you find them crying for a piece of the dunya. They leave the religion if Allah don't give them a piece of the dunya. Allah don't love me if He don't give me a piece of the dunya. Allah don't care about me if He don't give me a piece of the dunya. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said that as for the dunya, Allah Jalla wa Ala give it to whom He wills and whom He don't. Whom He loves and whom He don't love. But as for the knowledge of the deen, He give that to only those whom He loves. But an individual will be crying. You'll find a person, yo, brother, what's wrong? I don't got no money in my pocket. Won't you pray? I can right now, just make dua for me. It's the opposite. Allah said, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Seek His aid through patience and prayer. He commands you to pray. Now you're telling me you're going to do the opposite. And he's going to finish this beautiful hadith. It's real small. It's just a reminder to remind ourselves, no matter what's going on in the world around us, we're going to keep reminding ourselves that this is not our home. Let them people fight over it. They can have it. There is a home that the couches is going to raise up. There are trees that you ain't even got to bend over, babe. You ain't even got to bend over to grab the fruit. It's going to bend over to you. You want to get that up? It's going to bend over you. Trees.
I want to drink from that river of honey. I want some honey.
Allah. He said, continuing, he said, لِأَنَّهَا لَيْسَ دَارُ لَهُ دَارُ. He said, because in reality this home is not his home. His home is the home in which Allah created for the believer, which is in paradise. وَكَانَ آدَمْ وَزَوْجُهُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. And his parents, Adam and Eve, Hawa, they was in paradise. Allah has made them reside and live in paradise. ثُمَّ حَصَلَ مِنْهُمَا مُخَالَفَةٌ لِأَمْرِ اللَّهِ وَتَابَ وَالنَّدَمَ وَتَابَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمَا. Then what happened occurred. They opposed the law command, and look what happened to us. We here. They disobeyed the law. Look what happened because we're here. Who caused them to disobey Allah? What did He say to them?
About the knowledge of the tree.
He said, your Lord only forbids you this tree because you'll live forever. Or or you'll be like angels. You will be like 2 angels, or you will live forever. And he said, he swore to both of them. He said, Riley, I'm your sincere advisor. So they returned to Allah in repentance, and they were remorseful, and Allah turned to them and accepted their repentance. However, Allah still expelled them from paradise. وَأَنزَلَهُمَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ He sent them down to the earth. إِلَى دَارَ لَيْسَ دَارَ لَهُمَا To a home that is not their home. فَكَذَلِكَ ابْنُ آدَمْ يَهِنُّ إِلَى وَطْنِهِ أَوَّلَ الَّذِي أَخْرَجَ مِنْهُ لِيَرْجِعَ إِلَيْهِ Likewise, the son of Adam is grieved just like the father, just like his father. He wanted to return back to that home where he was from. But unlike the son, the father saw that place. They didn't even have to cover themselves. They were naked in paradise. They ain't had to cover themselves or nothing. But soon when they bit from the tree of life, it exposes their how, and now they got to cover themselves. Look at all the stuff that we lost. Then he said, Al-Abir was-Sabil, be like a wayfarer, meaning like a traveler. A traveler is someone who rests at a place for a while he's traveling, and then he continues his travel, right? فَيَكُونُ مُسْلِمٌ فِي الدُّنْيَا مِثْلُ مُسَافِرٍ So the Muslim is like a traveler also. In reality, a traveler, he is not a resident. He don't live there, right? What's the ruling for a traveler?
From one destination.
What is the ruling for a traveler?
To get a walkway.
What is the ruling for a traveler?
Get back to his house. Shorten the prayer.
He can shorten the prayer. Ahsan. What else? Wiping his clothes? How long? 3 days. 72 hours.
He doesn't have to make Jumu'ah.
He doesn't have to make Jumu'ah. He doesn't have to fast. These are the ruler for a traveler. What are the benefits for a traveler? He can make dua. And it's grounds for his dua to be accepted. A traveler. You don't want to live in this dunya like a traveler? Well, you know that the dua you make is going to be accepted? Think about it. Just ponder. It's a traveler. He said, continue, he said, لِأَنَّ مَدَّتُهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا قَلِيلًا Because his period, his time period within this life, in the dunya, is what? It's really few. It's short. وَهُوَ يَسِيرُ إِلَى آخِرَةٍ He's on a journey. Where is he traveling to? Paradise. Ali ibn Abi Talib gave a khutbah one time. And it was a short khutbah. Right? He went to go visit the people in the graves. He said, Assalamu alaikum ya ayyuhal muqabil. He extended Islamic greetings to the people that was in the grave. He said, as for your homes, they are preoccupied by somebody else. As for your women, they got remarried. As for your wealth, it has been diminished. But your deeds are still with you. Then he began to cry. How many of us visit the grave? Who go visit the Muslims in the grave? Is this a forgotten sunnah? How many of us go visit the Muslims in the grave? Aisha radiallahu anha got up in the middle of the night. She said, I witnessed the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam get up in the middle of the night. And I followed him. And he went to the grave of Baqir' and he made dua for those who were in the grave. How many of us go to graves? How many of us visit a sick person? How many of us fasted? There's an ID for the Prophet ﷺ said, who's fasting? Abu Bakr raised his hand. Who visited a sick person? Abu Bakr raised his hand. Who visited the grave? Abu Bakr raised his hand. How many of us do these deeds? We take the names of Muslims, but we're not doing those deeds. Once we start doing deeds like this, I guarantee you what you think the dunya is will come to you. Because it came to them. They were barbaric Arabs. Unkempt. There were two ruling powers around that time. That was the what? The Romans and the Persians. Both of them fell.
To those Arabs.
In 30 years. It was over 30 years, I want you to know that. Both of them fell to those Arabs in 30 years because of what they had. Not because they was Arab. That ain't had nothing to do with it. What they had? Islam, Tawheed, Sunnah. So that's the remedy. That's the remedy. Why are we going around any other way? I got to get $100. So you know what? I'm going to figure it out myself. I ain't going to do what Aisha said. Right there, She said, we would make dua to Allah even for the shoelace, for our shoe. I ain't gonna make dua to Allah so I can get this $100. I'm just gonna go figure it out. Okay, let me get 10 oils.
Right.
I'm gonna figure this out. Where's the dua? Where's the dua? Dua don't mean don't make no actions. But the first thing you should do whenever you want something, ask Allah.
You offer that dua, man.
Fas'alullah. That's the first thing you should do. Ask Allah. No matter what it is, as long as it's permissible anyway. No matter what it is, ask Allah Jalla wa Ala first. Then do the actions. Henceforth, the prayer, what is this prayer called? Istikhara.
Yeah, Muhammad ibn Wahab, Rahimahullah, said, dua mukul ibadah. Dua is the core of worship.
However, that narration is weak. However, there's another narration which is authentic, which has like similar meaning. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Dua huwa ibadah." Dua huwa ibadah. The hadith that Sheikh Abdul Wahab used in Talatatul Rasul, the ulama explained that this is a weak version, but there's another one which the Prophet ﷺ said, "Dua is ibadah." Dua is ibadah. Barakallahu feek for that. That's a good reminder. So dua in itself is ibadah. How many types of dua? Since you open it now, we gotta go into it. Yeah. There are two. Alhamdulillah. He wasn't sure. You were sure. You were sure? You asked me the two. I mean, you sure? I'm even going to ask you what they are now. MashaAllah. So anyway, finishing up real quick, he said, تَسِيرُ بِهِ أَيَّامُ وَلَيَالِ إِلَى آخِرَةٍ. So he spends his days and his nights only to get back to home, meaning to the hereafter. He said, وَهَكَذَا يَنْبَغِي أَن تَكُونَ حَالَةُ مُسْلِمِ فِي الدُّنْيَا قَرِيبًا أَوْ عَابِرِ السَّبِيلِ. He said, likewise, this should be how the Muslim should reside in the world. He should spend his time doing what? As a stranger or a wayfarer, traveler. And يَكُونَ هَمَهُ الرُّجُوعِ إِلَى بَلَدِهِ. Always keeping the main concern at the top of his head. I need to get back home. He said, وَبَلَدُ الْمُسْلِمِ هِيَ الْجَنَّةِ. And we already said that. The home of the Muslim is paradise. يَسْتَعِدُّ لَهَا. So he must prepare for it. وتزودوا فإن الزود تقوى فإن خير الزاد تقوى وتزودوا. Allah tells us in the Quran, take provisions. The best provision is taqwa. But what are you preparing to take with you? When you go on a journey, you take everything you need to take, right? When you go on a journey, you make sure you got everything. Okay, the tank is filled up. You got clothes. The kids got, they got their sleeping bags. Everything you got, you prepared, right? Well, you going back to Jannah, what do you need to take? These, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever say, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu lahu mulk wa lahu hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. If he says this 10 times after Fajr, it's like he had freed what? 100 slaves. One narration, like he freed 1 slave. How many of you say this dua? It's rhetorical. Huh? Like he freed 1 slave. He said after this, after Ibn Umar who was a child, heard this advice of the Prophet ﷺ, he said to the people, and he said to everyone, if you reach it to the evening, don't expect to live to the morning. He said, Sheikh Fawzan said, وَإِذَا أَسْبَحْتَ فَلَا تُؤَكِّرُ عَمَلَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. What he meant by this, he said, if Allah allow you to reach the morning, then do not delay doing actions until the evening. Don't say I'm going to wait to Maghrib to do a good action. When do the evening start? Also Maghrib.
The night precedes the day. Maghrib.
Maghrib? Yeah. Allahu Akbar. Right? Don't wait till the night. He said, "Takun a'malu hada amala bil layl." Meaning the person said to himself, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that later on. I'll do it tonight." But badir bihi wa amalu. Rather, a person should hasten to do that act, and فَلَعَلَكَ لَا تُدْرِكُ اللَّيْلِ, because it's possible that he won't even reach it to the night. They just showed a picture that was going around on social media, which I don't see the reason to do that. They took a picture of a person in Indonesia or India praying, and he died in sujood. He was praying with the people and he died in sujood. How many people you were just with and they're no longer with you? Don't take nothing for granted. He said, وَإِذَا أَمْسَيْتَ فَلَا تُؤَكِّرُ الْأَمْرَ وَالتَّوْبَةَ إِلَى الصَّبَاحِ. And if you reach the evening, do not delay your actions and seeking repentance from Allah until the morning. So perhaps you won't make it to the morning. فَلَيْسَ لَكَ إِلَّا السَّاعَةِ. Because there's nothing for you but the hour you're in. You have no surety of anything right now except in the hour that you live in. Hassan al-Basri said that the people lived to what? They have many what? 3 days. And one version, 3 hours. The past day, yesterday, it already went. You can't do nothing about it. Tomorrow hasn't came. You don't even know if you're going to be from amongst the people. So that means you have the present to only do actions. Right? He said, فَبَادِرْ وَلَا تُؤَجِّلْ أَعْمَالُ صَالِحَةً وَتَوْبَةً وَاسْتِغْفَارًا إِلَى وَقْتٍ آخَرٍ. So hasten and do not delay in doing righteous actions and seeking repentance and seeking forgiveness to another time. Then he said something very valuable. He said, take from your good living, your good health before you sick. هذه من وصية ابن عمر. ما دام إنسان في صحة وعافية فهو قوي. يقدر على الصيام ويقدر على قيام الليل ويقدر على الجهاد في سبيل الله. How many people you know right now, due to the fact that they are in a sick situation, they can't fast? Some people are diabetics. Some people, due to old age, they can't fast. How many people right now you know that they can't perform salat the way they want, standing up, they have to sit down? Right? This is what he's saying. He's saying, take from that time that you are in a good health situation and exploit that time. As we know the famous narration of Mu'adh ibn Jabal. When he got older, what did he say? He said, oh Allah, have mercy on this disobedient soul. He said, because rarely I spent my youth doing things that were disobedient, displeasing to Allah. Now he's older, he's recalling and recollecting on that. We got kids out here today will never see the old age. They're dying even before they even reach that. We got elders out here. This is why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned another narration of the Real Salihin, that a one who's like 60 years old, carrying on and acting like if he's young, committing zina and all that and the likes. There's no hope for that individual. Because you think that his desire is supposed to be cut off. So why is he carrying on acting like that? We got some elders out here behaving like their youth. If anyone come to you and tell you that there is no answer, there is no solution in the deen of Islam for everything that's happened, that's taken place, then he has lied. There is nothing that has been left out in the deen of Islam. Nothing. There is nothing you are going through that the people before have not went through or experienced. Besides the fact that shirk is even worse now, because back then they used to commit shirk, right, during the time of ease, but when they was in difficulty, they would turn back to who? Allah. But now when they're in difficulty or ease, they still commit shirk. Right? Last but not least, he said, this person can't do all those actions. Meaning when he was sound and healthy, he was able to do jihad, he was able to give dawah, he was able to fast, he was able to stand up at night, he was able to do all these things. But when he's sick, he's unable to do these things. So now, because of his sickness, he prevented from doing those acts of worship. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful, he still gives you the reward of those actions, even if you're sick. Meaning, if you're sick and you can't do the act that you used to accustom yourself to doing, don't think you're getting over it. You used to accustom yourself to doing it, then Allah's still going to give you the reward as if you was healthy. Okay? Last but not least, he said, take from your living before your death. We all know what this is. While you alive, act. Because when you die, that's it. There's no more time after you die. No more time. There's no going back. There's no delaying. There's no making up for nothing. The only time you got right now is right now that you're alive. And I guarantee you, when you get to Allah and say, well, I didn't have enough time, you lie. Allah gave everybody just amount of time for themselves. The only ones we don't have to worry about, which Allah is going to give them, according to the best opinion amongst the ulama, is the people the children that died at birth. But in terms of the people who are alive, everyone has a special time. What did this tell us right here? That we all got the right time that we needed. What did this tell us? that nobody died before their time. That's what this tells you. Nobody died before their time. It might be tragic that so-and-so died. That was my nephew. He never hurt nobody. It might be tragic, but in reality, it was his time to die. This is why the Prophet ﷺ forbade the woman from pulling out her hair, welling, striking her nails, clothing her clothes. The Prophet ﷺ said one of the signs of the hour is that there's going to come a time that a person in the grave, a person walking by will say, I wish that I was in this grave. He's going to make a statement and say, I wish that, I was in this place instead of that. And he finished it up, he said, استعد للموت وما بعد الموت. You have to make preparation for death and after death. You have to make preparation for death and after death. Uthman ibn Affan, radiallahu was what Khalifa? What number Khalifa was he? Third. He was the third, right? Uthman ibn Affan, he used to cry whenever what was mentioned? The grave. Whenever the torment of the grave was mentioned, he used to cry. They said, yeah, Amir al-Mu'mineen, why how come when the paradise and the hellfire is mentioned, you don't cry? They said, but you cry every time the torment of the grave is mentioned. You know what he said? He said, because that's the first stage. If your grave is okay, then you're good. If you can pass those questions and you living in that grave in time of the light, you're good. Everything else after that will be smooth. But if you don't make it past that grave, it's a wrap. SubhanAllah. He said here, فَلَوْ أَعْطَاكَ هَذِي حَيَاء وَهَذَا أَجْلٌ مِنْ أَجْلٌ أَنْ يَسْتَقْتَلْهُ فِيمَا يَنْفَعَكَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. He said, so Allah Jalla wa Ala gave you this time period, He gave you this life, and in this life He gave you a certain amount of time in order to preoccupy yourself with that which benefits you in the hereafter. فلا تصرفه في اللهو واللعب والجمع الحطام وإنما تصرف بما تجده عند الله سبحانه وتعالى فهذه وصية استنجاها ابن عمر من وصية الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said that so you don't direct your time now that Allah gave you your life towards playing, amusement, entertainment. Everything is one big joke. I was reading the ayah today that the people of the hellfire, they're going to call out to the people in paradise. They're going to say, can you ask Allah to send down some water on us? Can you pour down some water on us? Or give us some of the provision that Allah provided you with? So the people of paradise are going to say that, well, really, y'all are prohibited. That these things are prohibited for the kafir, for the non-believer. But look what Allah said afterwards. الَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا دِينَهُمْ لَعِبًا وَلَهْوًا وَغَرَّتْهُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. These were those individuals who took their religion for play and amusement, and they was deceived by the life of this world. How were they deceived by the life of this world? It's shortness. They thought they had a whole amount of time. They played on Allah forgiveness. They thought they was going to forgive everything and not what? Punish you. That's how you deceive yourself. Nah, we don't do that. Last but not least, the Shaykh, he said that this advice was something that by the permission of Allah that Umar ibn Khattab have took from the advice of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, so for us reading this hadith is incumbent upon the Muslim that we keep this advice at the front of our eyes, that we constantly keep this on our mind. He said that we should travel in this life as if we are a stranger or a traveler, and we should not delay doing good deeds and put it off to another time, because perhaps we will not reach it. Nor should we take the time that we are healthy and use it and direct it toward play and amusement. He said, likewise, we shouldn't take the life that Allah gave us and grant us, because we didn't give ourselves lives. Allah gave it to us, and we should spend it in play and amusement. The son of the individual, he used these things that Allah gave him for those things and preoccupy himself with those things which Allah Jalla wa Ala, these abilities that He gave him so that it can benefit him with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter. This is what we was able to bring today. Hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, is a reminder for myself and for you all in the time of crisis that we find ourselves in. This world don't belong to us, so let's stop fighting over it. We do have a better world than this. Whatever the kuffar are doing, leave it to them. Don't follow them. Don't join them. Don't participate with them. Don't even get mad over what they have. And one of the things that you can do, stop following the entertainers. You can stop following the lives of the entertainers. You want to look at what Beyonce got today, what Jay-Z got today, what this entertainer have, what this entertainer have. Stop. No, in reality, all of us. You want to stop doing that. Why? Because one of the reasons why the Prophet ﷺ prohibited you from sitting out in the roadways for what? He prohibited us sitting out in the roadways for what? So that we don't watch people, seeing what other people have. This affects you. And in terms, what happens? You go back to your spouse, you go back to your family member, you go back to your friend, and you start thinking that they should behave that way. I want the perfect couple like I think Beyonce and Jay-Z has. So now you make that standard on your husband. We need to be like that, a power couple. Or you make the standard that I want to have that. That's the setting standard. Nah, that's not the setting standard for us. واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة حياة الدنيا. Allah to Muhammad, remain patient with those who call on their Lord at Fajr, the rest of the prayers at Isha, and do not let your eyes look past that. Muhammad ﷺ didn't care about the king. They used to try to get a pillow for Muhammad so they can lay down, a comfortable pillow. So Umar Khattabi said that, we should get you a pillow because you know that the king, the leader of Persia, they on lavish couches. He said, you do not believe, Umar? Look what the Prophet ﷺ said. You don't think this harsh if I say this to you right now. He said, Umar, do you not believe? This is what he said to him. He said, sure, of course I believe. He said, then that which Allah Jalla wa Ala gave me, he said that for them, that's their paradise. That for the believer, our paradise is not this world. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك جزاك الله خير.